We are coming live at you. I am still in sunny Queensland, Australia, but my beautiful soul sister, she's flown the coop of Boracay in the Philippines. Where are you, my love? Tell everyone about your adventures.
I am in London, United Kingdom. Finally, after I dare say nearly a year of not even really, just a little under a year of planning to get here. So I finally made it 2 weeks
Incredible.
ago, right? I can't even remember. It feels it feels
It's
like
so
time does not
surreal.
even, exist or matter right now.
It's so surreal to me. I was saying to you before we went live that you filmed for My Health, you filmed a beautiful introduction to Kundalini yoga course, and it was filmed there where you lived in Boracay with the ocean behind you, and absolutely stunning. And we'd been chatting this whole year or so about your, this movement on from there, and your daughter's there in London, and you had to do some matrix glitching, which is our theme for today, to get yourself there. And so for me, it's really surreal now that I'm talking to you on different time zones now. So yeah,
It's
but
still
I'm so
surreal
happy for
for
you.
me. It's still very surreal for me. I'm telling you. It's still like, oh my God, have I really made it? And yeah. And dodging all the, as we've discussed,
Yeah.
dodging all the arrows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
before we get into that, Madonna, what's the vibe like there in London from your perspective? Because you're certainly a galactic warrior of light, and you have a very unique way of expressing what you pick up in the collective and what's going on in the energy field. So how would you describe what's happening in London at the moment?
Okay. Yeah, from my perspective, right? Because I came from Boracay. I spent about a month in Manila, and as I have been chronicling my social media on Facebook mainly, that it was such a shock to my system, arriving in that solid matrix that I really felt like a fish out of water. I had, even though Boracay was still, pretty much zombified with people masked up walking along the beach, I experienced a relative level of freedom there. The rules did not apply to me. I just refused to, um, abide by the rules, their rules. But then Manila is a different beast altogether. I went there to basically, uh, leave the country, so that I had to kind of like sever the ties, which meant that I needed to go to the banks. I needed to sort out my health and all that. So I met medical people, medical professionals, banks. I had to deal with the 3D stuff, and you couldn't enter anywhere without abiding, by their stupid rules. So that was a bit intense for me, having to put a mask on and wear a face shield. I was
Mhm.
explaining to my daughter that I said to her, you just don't understand how taxing that was for someone like me. For her, it's like it's normal. She went into lockdown, and she spent most of 2020 in Manila, and she's like, "What's the big deal, mom?" I'm like, "It is a big deal, darling. It's like you're being muzzled. You're being told to shut up. Not express your truths and all that. But of course, it's like I might as well be speaking another language, because she's like, yeah, she doesn't get it yet, but I'm hoping eventually
Yeah.
she'll
And
catch up.
this is really where we come in, because we perceive this matrix or this 3D gridlock system, which has been hijacked by, well, we could call it so many names: Illuminati, Cabal, Archons, Anunnaki. Depends how far we want to go back into, maybe even off-planet forces that have intervened here. But we certainly come in, and anyone listening to these kind of shows will be of some star origin, and in a way we're all of star origin. But people who know that they are star seeds, that they've come with a specific mission at this time to help with the ascension process, they very much have what we'll call, just for simplicity in today's show, they have 5D consciousness. And 5D consciousness, when it's approaching the 3D matrix, is quite interesting because, of course, it is an effrontery to us to be told to muzzle ourselves, as you said, to be told that we can't even breathe oxygen. I mean, this really makes no sense to a sovereign being who knows that they are here to experience all the beauty and all the love and all the glory that the third dimensional earth plane has to offer. And we come up against this hijacking nefarious force, and it's very interesting. But what we wanted to talk to everyone about today, and we'd love for the comments to come in, your own experiences of what does it actually mean to glitch the matrix? How can you take that fifth dimensional consciousness, which really is pure love, pure sovereignty, knowing that your only commandments come from yourself, your higher self, your God, goddess, creator self, that you are not separate from that force. And so you apply that energy here in the third dimension. And when you have or behold that kind of internal power, it's incredible the miracles that actually can unfold. So I definitely wanted to talk to you, Madonna, because I thought it was amazing. One of your chronicles, as you call it, I love that, about in particular about the travel, and you were able to travel internationally, fly without having to take the jibbity jab. And tell us about that. Tell us also the state of awareness or state of mind, the consciousness that you have to carry in order to be able to navigate the matrix in that way.
Wow. Great question. But I just want to, before I address that, I just want to finish off the response about what's London like for me, from my perspective. I never actually got there. So for me, coming from that density of Manila, and 15 million people basically just saying, take our power, muzzle us up, we're not going to question. I mean, there's like this is a very small movement going on compared to the rest of the world. It is there, but it's not, it's not big enough to make, hopefully, it will down the line, but right now it's still a very small minority of people who are waking up to this. So moving from that density to London, for me, it was just like, holy shit, there are awake people. It's not just me, because I felt like that in Boracay even. So the day I arrived here, I think was when Boris Johnson decided to mandate the mask again, right? So you see it everywhere, you hear it everywhere. So I'm taking the tube, taking the bus, going in and out of establishments, and it's all there. No mask, no entry. But then I see people going in without mask, and it empowers me to do the same. So in the beginning, okay, I arrived, so you can't get through Heathrow Airport without mask without being masked up. So but I'm still rebelling, because I still don't put it all the way up here. I just I have it as a chin mask. But then getting into the city, finding so many other people basically giving them the middle finger, I'm like, yes, I've landed where I belong. I've landed where I can be in that vibration where the resistance, right, the fight back is super strong, and I'm loving it. I'm feeling very much empowered by it. And as I share, in my social media, I just like look at everyone who's unmasked with such reverence and gratitude and love, and I'm like, thank you for, maybe even, they're doing it unconsciously, but it's still impacting the fight back. And so to segue into your question, can you just repeat that again?
Yeah, so what I mean, because you're the ultimate matrix glitcher to me, darling. So what happened when you I want to talk more about the consciousness that we need to hold when
Yeah.
we go about undertaking, because a lot of people, of course, do have fears around entering into establishments where they've heard that there's rules, getting on an international flight, all of these kind of things where we feel we're going to be confronted heavily by the matrix and by those who are upholding the rules that those elites have put into place. So what consciousness do you need to hold, and what was the order of events for you? Like, what actually happened when you went on the flight, and how did it go for you?
Yeah. Okay. So before getting there, I was given a list of things that I have to comply to in order to get in. But the UK still allows unvaccinated people. I'm a holder of a British passport, so it's like me returning to my own country, right? Um, I needed to abide by a couple of rules to get to the country, but without really getting into it, because it is my understanding that when you don't abide by them, you get thrown in jail. So at the risk, not taking that risk, I'm not really going to go into how I glitched it, but suffice to say, I managed to glitch those rules that they're imposing, only because I'm going to get into this in more details, more in depth. I really, like you said, I am holding that consciousness, that I am a master. I'm a master of my own reality. That I constantly, it's my life's work now to really work on my energy, really work on my emotions, so that I can become more adept at influencing my everyday reality in the way I want it to, you know, to happen. So that's the consciousness that I embodied before embarking on this journey. I'm like, I'm not going to bow down to them. I'm not going to abide by their rules. And so God help me, So that's what I did. That's the full. I just embodied that consciousness, and I got into that flight. So I flew from Manila to London via Qatar Airways, so two legs to the journey. On the first leg from Manila to Doha, I had to put it in my chin, the mask. But then I thought, let's see how far I can take this. So I had it in my chin, and nobody said a word. And then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I thought, this is like, even under the chin, it's still bugging me. So I took it off and like, let's see what, if I get told, whatever. Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. So I felt really like, ballsy to do the same thing from Doha to London. And I'll tell you what happened on that leg. There was a couple of flight attendants who just fussed over me. I was like, what the hell's going on here? They just kept coming back to me, Madam, is there anything we can get you? Are you okay? Do you need a blanket? I'm like, so there's part of me was like, are they just being extra nice to me because I am the only one refusing to wear a mask, and they're thinking she's got balls and she deserves to be pampered? But then someone mentioned that, oh, maybe it's because if you're not wearing a mask, then you probably they're taking it as you're medically exempted, so they're giving you extra love. Whatever the reason might be, I got the desired effect, right? So that to me is like, okay, first rule of glitching the matrix, you just really go for it, all guns blazing. There's no like
Mm. Yeah,
half measures. So that
that
was a
really.
that was definitely a win situation. So I got to the UK, just breezed through immigration. Nobody said anything about anything. Nobody asked for papers, nothing. So I'm like, yes, okay. So what I'm trying to say here is you just have to really step up to your mastery, you know
Yeah.
um
Now is the time to be claiming that aspect of ourselves. And really, when we look at it from a higher dimensional perspective, we created the matrix. We created all the dark players. We created this opportunity in order to flex our spiritual muscles so that we could see how we can be the creator amongst the absolute darkness. And we created form and matter for that precise reason. And it seems like a paradox. Why wouldn't we just create form and matter and have a holiday here in the third dimension and float upon, the beautiful oceans and frolic in the rainforest? But of course, anyone who knows anything about the hero's journey knows that there will always be the ultimate villain, the oppositional force, which is also an aspect of self. And it's what we're going to do with that energy. Are we going to give it permission to have its way? Or are we going to say, no, I choose love. I choose freedom. I choose peace. I choose the highest possible reality. And even if I am fearful and my, my palms are sweating, I'm not going to give in to that. I am still going to take another step and another step and another step. And at that point, the forces of the universe rush in to support you. And you can be so amazed what you can accomplish and what you can break through. I certainly, I haven't had to be in any situations where I've worn a mask, even flying, but only flying within Australia. And, look, I mean, we probably don't want to get too technical here in our podcast about what we do or we don't do. We need to look more about the energetic side of it. But I can certainly say, hand on my heart, that, I haven't followed any of the nonsense rules because they don't apply to me. They don't resonate with my soul as truth, and therefore I just go around them. Now, if something was resonating and it seemed aligned and it seemed, even the way they dangle the carrot that you've got to look after the community, if that felt right to me, then certainly I'm not the sort of person just to do the opposite, just to stick it to everyone. But this is where it comes down to mastery and what it means to be a matrix glitcher, because if it's going against the soul covenant, meaning the true deepest feeling within self, then we must honor that over and above what any forces outside of ourselves are, ordering us to do. We're not here to play by anyone's rules. We're here to honor God, Goddess, source code within ourselves, and that can only be experienced through feelings. And people who haven't done a lot of meditation or a lot of spiritual practice like you and I have, Madonna, but they certainly know what they feel. And that it's as simple as that. You don't have to do, 20 years of yoga to be in touch with your feelings. It's more about honoring those feelings, acting upon those feelings. And that's when the pathway gets really flowing. And this is, again, where the miracles start cropping up in your life. So this is more an empowerment chat for anyone who feels at the moment that they're up against it, that they have no way out. You always have a way out. And the universe will only mirror to you your internal frequency. And we have to remember that. The universe is a mirror. What's out there in the matrix is only a mirror to what's going on internally. So we're always in command of self, and we always have the say-so of what we're going to experience. And I don't know if many people have as yet claimed that power, but we're seeing this mass awakening, and it's so exciting. We're seeing more and more people stepping into their sovereignty. I don't think any of us even used the word sovereignty a few years ago. I mean, I used to use it in yoga when we were talking about mountain pose. I say, oh, you feel sovereign in the mountain pose, but wow, it's such a perfect term to describe exactly what it is that's going on for those who choose it. So what's your, again, let's just talk about our own feelings through this podcast. Let's not get technical on how other people see it. And that's what I love about you, Madonna. You're so authentic, and the way you express things is just so beautiful. But what's going on from your perspective in terms of that Mayan prophecy of the two-road split? What's happening? What's your feeling? Is that prophecy going to be fulfilled? Will we see some people stay in a 3D 26,000-year galactic cycle, or are we all going together? What's your take on what's happening at the moment? Just a small question there for you, darling.
Are we all going there together? I know I just made a post and I said, there is a reason why, the movement has that slogan, where we go one, we go all. I believe that we will, all of us, but are we going to go there at the same time is another question, right? I don't know. But I think ultimately, the bodhisattva stance of like, I will not leave until everyone has gone ahead of me, right? So I guess eventually we will all get there, but we might have to, repeat, come back several more times before we get there. But yeah, currently what we're now seeing in humanity is like, as we all know, or very well see it with our own eyes. We're witnessing it, the huge gap, the divide between 3D and 5D choices, consciousness. Um, People are making these choices that they don't particularly want to make, right? Because they're making it because they just want to get back to normality, get back to their lives. But what they need to understand is, if you choose to do that, then you're participating in a reality that isn't yours. It's not yours, because you if you don't believe that that's really going to protect you from this, some virus, then why it's not a reality that you really are subscribing to. So why are you then giving it your energy, right? Then that means you're signaling to the universe that, hey, I'm still not sovereign, I still haven't stepped up. And that's the entire purpose of what we've come here to do, for us to remember that we are masters, that we are, that's where we came from that, that level of mastery. And we're here to remember that we're here to create. We are creator beings, and that anything that we do that is not coming from that place of creatorship or sovereignty, it's not our highest creation. So those people who are making that decision to choose something that they may or may not necessarily want for themselves, just so they can resume their lives. I'm just going to do it because just want to get back to normalcy. It's no big deal. At least I can travel. It doesn't really matter. Boy, you've got that so wrong. It matters, because everything matters. Everything that you do has a consequence. Everything has a ripple effect, a chain reaction, cause and effect, right? So that choice that you just made, whatever that may be, whether you decided you're gonna lie to this person, you're gonna cheat this person, you're gonna take this person's money, that job that you thought, I'm just gonna get it so that I can go back to work and earn money. Sorry, but these are all choices that you make that has a chain reaction. It has. So if you're making certain choices that aren't necessarily conscious, it means you're being unconscious, right? And when you're being unconscious, you're contributing to that, to more unconsciousness. You're contributing to the reality that you don't particularly want to subscribe to. You're giving it your energy. Why are you doing that? Energy is everything. Energy has a ripple effect. Everything has a consequence, whether whether it's positive or negative, it has a consequence. It's not even about whether it's positive or negative. It's about, whatever you do has a consequence, right? So the universe is going to constantly show you, if you're not in vibrational accord with the reality that you want for yourself, you're always going to end up paying for it. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
Oh,
it's like
well,
you
you make perfect sense. Yes.
so
Yeah.
it is showing you, if you're not, consequently you will have to pay the price for, the choice that you made, right? So it will, that's the universe showing you that you just made a choice that is not in alignment with your native frequency of who
Mm.
you really are. And who are you? You're a master, so own it. Your
And it,
mastery can create worlds. Your mastery can birth universes.
yeah.
That's how
Beautiful.
powerful you are.
Beautiful. Let's talk about the opposite of being the creator, because out there in the unified field, people who are listening here, and I can see the comments, they absolutely get it. But they may be encountering people, as you and I may be encountering people who are the victim consciousness, and the victim will say, "I hear what you're saying, and I agree. But let me tell you about my story and what's going on in my life and why I can't actually step up into mastery." And so this is what we're faced with, that people will deny their own creator force and have yet to understand that it's as simple as turning on a switch, turning on the light. It's that simple. It's that, as you said, that claiming of it. Once you've claimed it and therefore you embody it and you approach the world as that master, as that creator, there really is no room for victimhood. We make sure then that everything that we draw to us, we say, I am responsible for this, and this is therefore happening for my highest good, for my highest good. Even those times where we're wailing on the floor, even those times where we're gnashing our teeth and wanting to pull out our hair, even those times. And I guess people who are on that path of mastery have made peace with the fact that there is a certain amount of pain to be experienced here in this third dimensional matrix. But the suffering part of it is actually optional, because once you make peace with pain, once you say yes to pain, once you merge with your pain, and you see it as that gift in order to navigate this dimension, to know that without that pain, you wouldn't understand the true highest divine love. You wouldn't have a contrast. You wouldn't have a point of reference. Then it all becomes okay. And there's no buts then. We don't have to say, yes, but this, don't you know how hard it is in my life? And I guess that's what we're seeing at the moment, the difference between the people that say, I am creator. Yes, I'm really experiencing a lot of turbulence right now, like everyone in the collective is at times. However, I know that I created even this as a platform for me to jump off and to fly. And the victim will say, it's them, it's the government, it's my boss is forcing it. I've got children, you don't understand, I need to feed my kids, and selling their kids into a system of slavery, or perpetuating that system of slavery as if they're being a good parent. Don't you understand? I've got to do this for my kids. There's all sorts of scenarios that are going out there when you listen to the victim narrative as to why they are doing what they're doing, and they're almost indignant that you don't get it, and you're living in some fluffy 5D land where your life must be okay, right? Well, otherwise you would understand what they're going through. But the reality is, most of the people who have stepped into mastery that I know have had the most tragic stories of them all. They've been down there in the pits of hell, and the fires have almost consumed them, and they've risen like the phoenix out of the ashes. So it's not a valid argument to point the finger at those who are saying, come on, you can do this, you are a creator, you are a master, because they've been there. And this is why they're often called way showers, because they are literally showing the way. And it's really, it's up to everyone. And this is what sovereignty is. I mean, sovereignty says you make a choice. So if people want to choose to perpetuate their victimhood, that's fine too. And this is where it gets interesting about the Mayan prophecy with the two-road split, or as Dolores Cannon, you and I both love her, and what she talks about, that there will be a planetary split. Some will go into 5D consciousness, some will just simply remain in the 3D cycle, another 26,000 year galactic cycle, if we look at astrology and how that works. And it is absolutely perfect. There is no wrong. And that's so important for everyone to know. There is no wrong for people who are choosing that. That is right for what their soul needs to experience, so that they sooner or later get sick of their own bad behavior or choices and go, I can't keep banging my head against this proverbial brick wall. I'm going to choose another way. I'm going to say yes, that I created all this, and therefore I'm going to garner all of the power in order to transcend this. So it's both exciting and I guess at daunting times at the moment. As a mother, Madonna, I mean, what would you say to the people that use their children as that excuse? Because I think a lot of mums would love to hear, how you navigate that.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard for me being the lone. Okay, just from talking from my experience, my daughter who was with me this weekend, we were just talking about like how she's the only person, she's the only girl in her year that is left unjabbed, right? And nobody really gets why she's not, and why is her mother stopping her from doing so. I mean, I can only really put it down to God's grace that she hasn't succumbed to it. I mean, how else could you explain it? How else could you explain it? She's not really seeing it from my lens, but somehow something within her is still listening to her mother, right? Even though on the outside and the external, she's like, oh, but you're crazy, you're believing all these things, it's not true. Deep within her subconscious knows to trust her mother, right? So it's been a challenge for me to be. I don't know anyone amongst my old mother group, that is saying the things that I'm saying. Everyone, I believe, has succumbed to this force, this controlling force. But what I can say to that is that I speak to some of these moms, and some of them are all starting to like get to that point where they're questioning it, but life is just there's so much happening, they still have work to do, they still have careers to manage, and they don't really want to give any energy into this. But they know deep within them that there's something amiss, that there's this feeling of anxiety, there's this feeling of like, am I being conned, am I, there's this like, this unsettled feeling within, right? And what I want to say to that is, it's there because the universe, God, source, is trying to alert you that you're still subscribing again to that reality that your masterful self doesn't want to be a part of. There's that reality that there's that construct, right? That construct that we are all, as star seeds, refusing to participate in. But majority of the people, the majority of humanity, are giving their energy away, and by doing so, amplifying this energy field, this construct, this matrix, call it whatever, right? They're relinquishing their sovereignty, their power. They're participating in that game. It's someone else's creation. Let's call it deep state cabal, the Illuminati, whatever. But you can't say that you can't really hate on that, because it's a construct that, decided that it's gonna be here, and see how much energy we can, what's the word, siphon, from humanity, where they can, keep participating in this lower dimensional emotions of fear, of being manipulated, and all that, corrupted, because every time they invest energy into it, it just powers up, right? It just gets bigger. So you cannot fault them. You're the one who's giving your power away. You're giving um credence to the game, right? So stop participating, consciously or unconsciously. Don't empower it anymore. This is your opportunity now to say, I'm claiming it all back. We've spent all our lives devoting our time and energy into this cause. So now is the time. We're waking up. Now is the time, for the love of God and our children. This is the time now, where let's just really take ownership of our own power and create our own reality. We have so much work
Beautiful.
to do.
Yeah. And the prophecies here in Australia with our Australian elders are that we're coming into a very significant portal with the solstice. And we have been shown here by our elders that there'll be 3 solstices. So the one last year at Uluru, the activation of the magic box, and the grand conjunction in 2020. Then again, this will be amplified. The grid lines will power up again this solstice. And in fact, the Uluru is said to be, or Australia is said to be, the solar plexus chakra, and it's powering up the grid lines this solstice to Glastonbury, which I know you're going to be, which I find no coincidence that I'll be here and you'll be there, and we'll be having this communication as node points within the grid ourselves. And anyone listening here, please know, I can see a comment, someone saying that they're ready for the next dimension. Yeah, it's a beautiful comment.
We're here, we're there.
Yeah, or I was about to say that. Already know that 5D is overlaying 3D. You're already in it. So even to be able to say, make a beautiful comment like that means that you're already in it. And then it said there'll be another opportunity in 2022. The choices will go on through 2022. So we'll see more of the splitting, more of the forces opposing each other, 3D, 5D, 3D, 5D. Interesting, people who are maintaining 3-dimensional consciousness, they're going to, unless they step up, we're going to witness them getting more fearful and more aggressive, which also seems to be consequence of the medical procedure that they've had. It's shutting down the prefrontal cortex, and it's causing, we thought in 2020 we were like witnessing, there's no critical thinking here. It's gone to another level. I mean, it's very much yes master, yes master, yes master, yes master, whatever the master out there wants them to do, not the master within. So we may see that continue on. And then it said that the final one will be the solstice of 2022. And at that point, according to the prophecies here anyway, and a lot of other original people, Indigenous cultures, have all said the same thing. They've all said the same thing. And that's when this bifurcation will fully complete itself. So, I don't like to get into timeframes as such, because timelines can change, and the individual can always choose the highest timeline, and therefore that becomes their reality. So there's no possible way you're going to get sold down the river if you've chosen to step up into love and sovereignty. However, I feel like it's interesting to be aware of these concepts, to know what we may see unfold, and to know that, that beautiful saying, hold the line. Or as Greg said to me, who I work closely with here at My Health, he said, hold the bloodline, hold the bloodline. That's the new one. Hold the bloodline, hold your pure blood, because
I love that.
plasma is corrupted, your plasmic body, your blood, which is currently red blood at the moment in the 3D, but in the 5D, it goes to a light plasma. So you're literally alchemizing. And I think someone said before in a comment about the alchemy process, you're alchemizing and stepping up into light plasma. So you don't want to corrupt the blood, so to speak. So there's so many powerful things happening at the moment. And I certainly go from, pure like excitement and I'm buzzing to, oh my God, why am I here? Where's the mother shit? Get me out. I'm sure people listening can relate to that. I have to remember, it's like some black comedy, isn't it, Madonna?
Yeah. Gosh. Talk about power. Talk about being, fulfilling your destiny, your role, whatever. Like, I never ever occurred to me that, I'll be here at this time. I've been trying to get here, but, at some point I was like, I don't know if I'll ever make it in 2021. Right. And then I get here. Upon landing here, like a few days later, a Kundalini yoga brother, invites me to go to Glastonbury for the solstice. I had no intention. I had no plans of doing anything on the solstice. I just landed here, what the hell, give me some time to process what I've just been through. Then Glastonbury comes up and I'm like, straight away, there was like some super powerful activation within me. Oh yeah. Okay. I've got to go there. I've got to be there. And then he tells me that he's not able to make it anymore. He's changed his plans. But then the activation already happened. And I'm like, no, I've got to be there. Are you kidding me? And then there's this couple, Eldora and Siman, who just made a video about it, like on that same day. And then people's like sending me this video saying, yes, you have to be in Glastonbury. And yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I got the memo. So it's like, when you surrendered, this is just what my personal experience, what I'm finding, when you surrendered to it, you are so divinely guided. You are divinely guided. And sometimes, the programming, because we're still deprogramming from all of that, right? It's a lifelong work. I'm not saying I'm there. I'm far from being there. I am still subscribed to certain programmings that I'm aware of. We're working on it, right? But I still subscribe to it. I'm aware of it. But yeah, what I'm saying is, when you surrender, when you say, okay, I'm surrendering, I know you've got this, God, higher source, my higher self, my angels, you've got this. I don't know what to do next. They tell you.
Yeah.
They tell you. And also the fear is taken away. It's like, I'm going about life. Really, I should really be worried about my future because I'm here. I've got no job. I have no source of income. I'm just relying on, my savings. But I know I'm gonna be directed to, my dharma. I have no qualms whatsoever that I have been placed here for a very good reason, and I'm about to find that out. But there's no apprehension, there's no panic, there's no fear. It will happen.
Yeah, that's it. And let's talk about, that communion that we can have with our angels and with our guides. And so many people, particularly since 2020, galactivated. So they're also finding that there's more tribal members, in the unseen realms. They're having that sense of a galactic family. We're finding out that the governments around the world are getting closer to disclosure, that we really are a galactic society, and that part of this matrix overlay that was put here on Earth was to cut us off, really clip our DNA and cut us off from our memory of where we came from, and be told that, Earth is all there is and there's no other life forms out there. Well, even logically, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But whereas we may have negated that maybe even a few years ago. So many people now are just blossoming to that idea that, yeah, this is real, and they're having a lot of communication coming in. A lot of people are starting to do channel writing. A lot of people are just spontaneously doing light language and these sorts of things. It seems that it's always been there, and we're just remembering again as our strands of DNA activate, come online again. It's just, the most normal thing in the world, and almost like we're going back to when we were kids, where we were talking to the fairies and the elves and the angels and creator, and we knew that we were a beautiful, unique part of creation, and we had these imaginary friends who were no doubt our star family, and all of these things. So all of those beautiful gifts are coming back to us, and it's really what supports us. It takes us out of being lonely, because many people, even if they're still in a relationship, still got, family and friends close to them, they're feeling lonely because they may be the only one holding the bloodline. We're going to use that now, in their circles, but they're very determined to stay on their path. And so they can open then to all these other realms. And it's beautiful. You don't feel lonely when you're communing with, all of these beautiful, benevolent friends that we have. And they give such clues because they have a different vista. They see things from a different perspective. They're not better than us, and they're not here to take away our sovereignty. They're not here to tell us what to do. But they can certainly leave clues. Lots of synchronicity can happen. Lots of omens can come through dreams. Books can fall off the shelf. All of these things that, if anyone's been on a spiritual path for a long time, then about synchronicity and how these things work. But it's like it's gone to another level. And it definitely has for me. I mean, I have been on, consciously on my spiritual path in this lifetime for, well over 20 years, and work in it full time. It's my whole life. I'm in that bubble. And yet for me, 2020 was such a galactivation. It was just really went to another level. So I don't think it matters where you are on your path. I think this is the time for ascension for those who choose it. And the portal has opened up en masse, and it's just so powerful. We're seeing that Earth herself is lining up with the galactic center. We're having these solar flares, so that blood plasma is moving to light plasma. It's actually happening. We can feel it.
Yeah, we can.
So overwhelming at times too. And I think you're riding those waves. And this is why these conversations are useful, because it normalizes what's happening to us all. And we realize we are in a beautiful tribe, and anyone's welcome in that tribe. And we're doing it together. The age of Aquarius is very much doing it together, holding hands and moving the ascension together as one. So just so powerful. But, I implore everyone to open up to that galactic realm, do galactic type meditations. I put one up on our YouTube channel a couple of days ago, to open up. And yeah, you'll get really spacey, but wow, you'll get some amazing downloads that will help you to navigate this realm and to glitch the matrix, the theme of our chat today. So, darling,
Jay, I just want to say quickly again, I know I do this to you on a personal level, personal basis. I message you, I text you, I tell you how grateful I am for you, but I just want to publicly say it again. I'm very, very, so utterly grateful for you being here with us and doing what you do. You have no idea how much of a huge impact your work has on the collective. And I know I know you do, but it takes determination. It takes, starseed discipline for you to keep churning. The material that you're churning out there. I have utmost respect for the work you do, Carrie-Anne. Really do. Thank you.
And you too. I mean, you created an online course. I think it was earlier this year, not into the new year yet. You're out there every single day serving the collective. As I know, I can see, I know a lot of people here that are watching and the comments coming in. I know they are as well. And I think, yes, we certainly do rest, and we take that just as seriously as serving, because in rest, we're receiving so much connection and so much higher information coming in that is required in order to keep driving this forward. But, sort of cycling back to what you said earlier about claiming it, it's certainly no one's ahead of anyone else. And I think that's the critical thing at the moment, moving out of that age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius, where we were looking outside of ourselves. And this is how the cabal's gotten away with so much, because at some point we got lazy and we said, someone make the decision for me, someone, tell me what to do. And so it's really escalated from there, where we thought we needed someone to save us. But this remembering of who we are, this process, is here to say, you're the one you have been waiting for. You are the one who saves self. There is no one. There is nothing out there. And in fact, when you get very refined in your meditations and in your consciousness exploration, you realize there is only one. There is only, because that's what God, Goddess, Source is. There is only one. Madonna, you've taught me, and I still don't know that much about it, but I love the concept, just speaking of there is only one, but you've taught me about the unensouled, you call them the non-character players that are here on the earth. What is that about? How would you describe that for anyone who's never heard of that? Because I've found that so intriguing.
NCPs, non-character players. It's a concept that was introduced to me by Doc Heath Motley. Hi, Doc. It's basically, I don't play video games, but it's part of the virtual reality game where you have the console, right? And you're directing yourself in the game. And then there are the characters that are not really non-character players. They're there to populate the virtual reality, but there's no soul in it. There's no, so my understanding of it is that, even the number that they're giving us as to how many people there are on the planet, like they say it's close to 8 billion, you still questions. You have to question all this, right? Like, who's to say that there's a lot less of that? And majority of them are possibly just that, not what was it? Non-character players, just there to for us to interact with, so that we either play their game or we decide to awaken.
The way social media would be rigged as well, with that kind of force.
Yeah.
All the bots telling us that more people are on board with a certain narrative, and they're celebrating the government, and so it could be a con that we go, well, everyone's doing it. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to, and it's an instinct. If you're still in the third dimensional consciousness, it's an instinct to run with the herd, so that you're not exposed. And so that sets up that kind of feedback loop in people that, okay, well, just go with what the majority are doing, even if it doesn't feel right. So many people said to me, it doesn't feel right, but I've got no other choice. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, right. Interesting. Again, no judgment, no right or wrong, but it's fascinating, how people are choosing to navigate it. But, would you go as far as to say with the non-character players that they're not just on social media, that we're interacting with, in the flesh? I mean, are they clones? What's going on there?
It's a whole other rabbit hole, wormhole, right? But sometimes, I sit in the tube, I sit in that plane, I sit, I go in places, and I sometimes really feel that I am in a freaking virtual reality, and I'm interacting with these non-character players. It's the only way I can really, in my little head, my brain, make sense of, like, why are they so, like, why have they given up? Where is the soul? again, I was explaining this to someone yesterday when I went to have my medical stuff sorted out in Manila. All the medical professionals that I saw, I wouldn't be able to tell you who they are if I met them in the street, because they were all masked up. Like, it was so weird being treated medically by a Darth Vader lookalike. Like, you can't even really understand what they're saying, because they're like, breathing like, in that way. And it's like, it's freaky, like, hello, is there someone there? What happened?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I can't help but believe that they are there. Just
Something.
like in the Matrix, that lady in that red dress. They're there to distract us, perhaps. They're there to play a role.
Concept, yeah, it's a fascinating concept, and for people listening, see how that feels for you as we talk about some of these really fun concepts, because perhaps it is a simulation, and it is, in one sense. The Matrix is absolutely a simulation, and it really is your own matrix, or your own hologram that's interacting with the greater matrix, with the greater hologram. And so it can very much be seen. I think why some of those shows like Star Wars, Star Trek, and other kind of sci-fi ones, there's one out at the moment that I've started watching called Foundation, absolutely fascinating about what goes on in the galactic realms, but how there are pre-programmed humans. They seem human, and we're interacting with them as if they're human, but they are unensouled. They do not carry the God code within them, meaning they are not on an ascension pathway. So they are definitely there, as you said, Madonna, to distract you, in a way to test you. How are you going to respond to those forces? And of course, the deep state, if we want to call it that, they would have technology that is that advanced, that they've hidden from us. It's not that much of a reach to consider that could be happening. So where it seems like the mass population is headed in one direction, maybe not so much. When you look at the sovereigns out on the street at the rallies, we're talking now hundreds and thousands of people that are standing up in their power, and that electromagnetic pulse is going across the planet. It is just so powerful, as well as what's happening in the grid lines, as we spoke about a little bit before, what's happening in the grid lines, the communication between the sacred sites, and then of course what's happening in the galactic realms as we really start to peel back this matrix that's been put over Earth, this cloak. As that starts to peel back, we're going to have more available energy coming in. The galactics can never interfere with our free will. We are sovereign, and they cannot interfere. It must be our choice. But they can certainly bolster up the energy and help us to feel that we're safe in making the choices that we know align us with grace. And it's beyond magical. And I think that's the paradox of the 3D. It's beyond magical, and yet here's this chaos coming at us every single day where it feels like we're doing like a full spiritual journey every 24 hours. So, but darling, believe it or not, we've come to time, so I'm just going to let you have a little riff just to wrap this glitching the matrix chat up.
Yeah, well, I think I was just really, really overwhelmed by that vision when you were talking about everything really just being coming to its fruition, it's just such a magical place to be in when you've kind of worked that out. It's like, oh my god, like, come on, can you please all wake up already so we can all just sing kumbaya together. But what how I want to end this is like, if you are there already, right? If you're feeling like maybe not even 100, maybe not 100%, but close to 100%, that's what I'm aiming for. I would say I'm like somewhere in between 85 to 89%. I'm feeling like I'm untouchable, not in an egotistic sense, but I just feel I'm untouchable because God and God's light, angelic realms got my back. They're all behind me and ahead of me, and all around me. They're, when you're feeling that way, when you're feeling that you're like really, you're on top of the world, you're feeling happy, you're feeling joyful, you're feeling exalted, 5D-ish, it means you're doing it correctly. It's like, just keep going, keep doing it, keep going for it. Whatever practice it is you're doing, whatever you're doing to get you there in that frequency, in that vibration, where you're not really making a lot of flawed choices anymore in your life, um, stay there. Hold the bloodline. I love that. I love that.
Thanks,
That.
Greg, for the bloodline. That's
It's, a, it's an unrelenting uh, job to hold the bloodline. It is. But
yeah.
stay there, keep doing it, keep at it. that's
Mm.
that's that's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. As someone beautifully said, amen, Madonna, amen. Know who you are, claim who you are. Don't be embarrassed about claiming that you are the droplet, the godlet in the ocean of consciousness. You can't be separate. You can never be separate. And it's our time to rise. And we came with a specific mission. I know anyone listening here, just by reading the comments, you know who you are. You know where you came from, even if you don't have a name for that star system, but you have a sense, or some of you would know your star origin, but you know that you came to Earth because you heard the call, you felt the call, and you have such a deep, loving heart and soul that you could not deny that the humans here, the natives here, needed support. And of course, we had to descend into human form ourselves in order to get this job done, because it's the only way through. You can't interfere from outside of this realm. And so we're waking up from our spiritual amnesia, and what a beautiful time. And so bravo to you, Madonna, and bravo to all the people, the warriors of light.
All the people, bravo.
We can feel everyone's energy as we keep holding the bloodline. So thank you, my darling.
Thank you,
And
darling. Thank you. I love you. Thank you
love
for
you so
joining
much.
us.
Big love to everyone here who's put in the beautiful comments, and we'll see you all again soon.
Bye.
Bye.